Okay, well, welcome to week 4 of our July mentorship, and I'm very excited to wrap this up. I have loved this series. I loved it when we did it the first time in May, and um, I've loved it again this round. And we have just talked about foundational things that we do. And it's almost 9 years, which blows my mind that I've been with Plexus almost 9 years, doing the business 8.5. And I still come back to these things. When I was looking through my slides, I still come back and think, what's a good question I can ask, which is some of the things we're going to talk about. But you guys have learned the foundations, like how to reach out, how to invite to an event, how to host an event. If you want to, you have the skills, like you're growing these skills and how to get someone started really well and to support them. And tonight we are going to add to that. I'm going to share my screen, but we are going to go back a little bit more with more questions, some verbiage that you can ask when it comes to closing. And we're doing this all the time, right? Like at the end of every month, you're doing it all month long, but at the end of every month, you kind of come back to these and you are reaching back out to people who you have had conversations with to see, where they're at and if they're ready. So we're going to kind of hone in on the closing portion of it, talk a little bit more about duplication, talk about the importance of community. And it's funny because Crystal shared the last time about community and she's traveling this week. And I was like, oh, I won't ask her. So maybe she can throw her 2 cents in if she's still on later. I didn't ask her to do that, but we'll have a few things that we can share about community and then just our vision for growth. But we're going to start with our closing portion. And I think that we can absolutely get in our heads and we can let fear get in the way. Even almost 9 years in, right? You're like, oh my goodness, I haven't heard back from this person. Am I being annoying? Do I take it personally when they don't respond? You can see when they've seen your message, like, what are they thinking? We just overthink it so often. And so we have to talk ourselves off that ledge and we have to come back and remind ourselves that people are really busy. And I love the mail example. Someone shared this when I first started. I still go back to it all the time. I bring the mail in all the time. I dump it on the desk. I don't always open it right away. I've seen it, but it's just sitting there. And the next day I do the same thing. And so then there becomes this pile, right? And so when we go back in to reconnect with someone, to check back in, it's just like bringing that mail to the top of the pile as a reminder because they're busy. So not taking it personally and reminding ourselves, it really is the mindset that we are professionals. This is what we do. We check back with people. We want to help them take their next best step. And if that's Plexus for them, we want to help them do that and to not put it off any longer. And so reminding ourselves, this is my job. This is what we do. And we said we would check back with people. So we are going to follow through with what we said. We're people of our word. And so that is what we do when we are following up. So I just want to remind us of that. So just some verbiage, because I think people always want verbiage. I think this too. And oftentimes we won't trust that we know what to say. I think we do, but it is nice to have verbiage to go back to. So you can screenshot these. We can put them in the group in the comment section. But here are just some examples. And it can be very simply something like this. Did I get you all the information you need to make a decision? And leave it at that. Hey, Sally, I'm checking back with everyone I talked to this month to make sure no one misses out on the $10 off. What's holding you back from getting started today? I love that question because it's going to they're going to say, I'm actually ready today, or it's going to help you overcome another objection with them, like wherever they're at. And every single month, there's a special that we can say, hey, I don't want you to miss out on this. I just did this with, my customers that I have. If they ordered last month, or now it's the $1 membership plus the free reset. Like Plexus just keeps piling on all these things that we can reach out to people with because it's such a good deal. So I sent several of those messages today. Here's another one. And this one shows that you were listening to what their goals are and you want to help them reach those. Hey, Sally, I know that you said I know that you said that you would love to not crash at 3 every day, stop craving sweets after dinner, and sleep through the night. I know if we start today, you will be on your way to reaching those goals. Are you ready to get started? Um, what's funny about are you ready to get started? I was listening to Kristen Boss and she's like, don't ask that question. After I had already done this, I was like, oh, I ask that all the time. But she said, no one's ever ready. Like most of us are never ready. You just, you have to act before you're ready. You just have to take the action. And I think, yep, that's true. When I get up in the morning, I'm not ready to work out. I just do it, you know? So I thought that was a funny statement that she made. So maybe this next question is a better question. I'm so excited for you to get started. Would today or tomorrow be a good time to get on the phone to get that order in? So it's not asking, are you ready? It's just saying, hey, let's do this. Let's get the order in. Are you free this time or this time? Um, and then this question I think is so good because it just like names what maybe they're feeling. Um, I feel like you have what you need. I think you really want to do this, but you seem nervous. Are you scared or skeptical? So again, you're going to be getting to maybe there's another objection they have. Maybe they're nervous about something. What is holding them back? But always answer with a question that requires a response from them. And then what do I say if they don't respond or they say no? Um, so another thing that I love to use is, if they're just continually not responding, I'll say, hey, we've talked about this so and so time. It seems like now isn't a great time. I'll even say, you aren't getting back to me. I know that summer is really busy. Maybe now isn't a great time. Would you like me to take you off my list for now? And most of the time people will respond with yes, no. And if they say, I'm just not ready right now, say, that's okay. I totally understand. Would it be okay if I checked back with you and you decide however many months? You could even say next month, or could I get back to you when we have another special, which we always have a special, and see if anything has changed. So just ask for permission and then write them down so that you actually do follow up, because again, we want to follow through with what we said we're going to do. And don't be afraid to go back to that feel, felt, found method that Cassie talked about, because it is so powerful. I use it all the time. We want to empathize with where people are and say, I felt that way too, but what I found is this. And so we're constantly walking people through whatever their barriers or excuses are, right? But we want to do it empathetically. And so we're constantly doing this, and you need to remind yourself that this is normal. This is just how it works. This is how our brain works. Like we have to overcome objections all the time. And then Allie talked about this last time too, you guys, but it takes so many follow-ups. It takes so many touches for people to say yes so often. It's pretty rare that you have a conversation with someone that they order right away. Bizarre thing, I had 2 people this month that ordered after just initiating a conversation. They reached out to me, but then I reminded myself, these people have followed me for almost 9 years. They've been watching me for almost 9 years. So it wasn't like brand new information, right? But we have to remember it takes so many touches, and go back to how long did you watch your friend that you joined? How many conversations did you have before you said, yep, I'm going to sign up. I'm ready to do this. Patience, persistence, and understanding are key. And so don't give up too early. That is like one of my biggest pieces of advice. Another thing that I loved that Kristen had said in that training that I was watching, where she said, don't ask if they're ready. And she's like, you always hear go for no. But she's like, go for curiosity, right? We do want to help them come to a decision, but stay curious, and that will help them to stay open to eventually saying yes. And so I thought that that was a really good thing too, for us to stay curious and to continue to dig into asking really good questions, and seeing like what they actually need and what barriers they need to overcome. Okay, duplication. We want to keep it simple, and especially in this group, we've talked a lot about growing to gold or helping other people grow to gold. That is one of the biggest like jumps, I feel like, And we always say, if you can get to gold, you can get to diamond. And I'm still going to prove that. Eventually I got to gold. I'm now emerald, but one day I will be diamond, right? And I don't know how long that will take, but I'm not going to give up until I get there. And so remind yourself, what is my goal? Where am I at right now? We showed this at the beginning, kind of the pathway to gold. And that is where it's really great residual income. Like that is making a big difference for someone. And plus you get to go to the gold retreat, which we really, really want more of you to be able to come to the gold retreat with us in October in Dallas. And so again, that's always a goal. My goal is to always be, raising up new leaders to do that. And if we really want, like if we have a goal to be anything above gold, we have to be duplicating. We have to be showing people how to do it. And it is simple. It's not easy, right? It is hard work and it takes consistency and showing up and doing the things that we don't always feel comfortable doing. But it's really good for me to remind myself, this is what a gold team could look like, right? It's me adding 4 people who are adding 4 people. And when you look at it this way, I'm like, okay, that is so doable, right? And we don't all do it that way. When I started, it was me and 20 other people on there. I didn't find anyone to start really sharing alongside me until I hit gold. And so it took me a little bit longer to do this, right? But there are so many ways this can look, but this is a simple way. And so the things that we want to duplicate from the beginning, how we talk about sharing with people from the very moment that they join us is really important. And I'm still growing in that. It still can be uncomfortable for me. And so we just have to remember, I have to remind myself all the time, what we do is simple, right? So we are sending something, we are sharing something, we are inviting. So we're constantly engaging with others, sending people messages, commenting on their posts. We are asking them questions. We're asking them if they've heard about Plexus. We're engaging them and sending, this first communication. We are sharing something with them that will educate them. And that's on our page or in a message. We are building belief, sharing testimonies. Once we are in a conversation, we are sharing, something from one of our product pages or testimony pages, and then we invite them. It's as simple as inviting them to try it as well. You can invite them to an event, you can invite them to get started, but we're just doing these 3 things over and over and over. And of course, we grow in the skills and how we do this over time. And just reminding myself, okay, I know how to do this. Because there are days I wake up and I think, what am I doing? This is hard. And I go back and I think, okay, have I engaged with someone? Have I sent a message? Have I shared about, Plexus or the products or the business? And have I invited someone to something today? So if I'm constantly going back to those things, we will keep growing. But we're going to talk about inviting people to the business opportunity because we need to be doing this to continue to grow our paycheck and our team. And I know most of you on this call, that's what you want to do. And so we have to be offering that to people as soon as they're signing up as customers as well. We don't just want product users. Of course, we want happy customers, but we want people who also want to share and make income on the side to do it with us. And again, this can be more challenging because there's more involved with our mindset, our time, our commitment. But we have to remember that most people go to bed worried about finances. More people are thinking, how could I earn a few hundred extra dollars a month than they are thinking about their health? They need both. But this is so real for everyone. And the great thing is that Plexus offers both. And so we want to do that from the very beginning and not be shy about it. So here are some examples of what we can say for a new customer. And usually, and I didn't put this on here, but even when I'm signing people up and they always ask, well, what is this website name? Or I don't know how they put it on there now, referral name or site name. And so I always tell people that's where you put in your name. This gives you your referral link. So when you want to have a friend do this with you, you can give them your referral link. So you put language to it, like when you do this, not maybe if sometime, I'm like, when you do this. Like this is going to happen eventually, even if it doesn't happen today, right? So we're planting those seeds right away. But you can tell people, I'm in the business of helping people. Do you know 5 people that could use more energy, better sleep, or want to feel better? Who could we invite to do this with you? And reminding people accountability is so huge. They will be so much more successful, even in the products or in the business if they have people doing it with them. Accountability is everything. And maybe you could ask them, are you the type of person who shares about something that you love? Would you be willing to share if you loved it? And if they say yes, then great. You know that you can go back and say, hey, you said that you share about things you love. Would you want to share about your results that you're seeing? Offer them a post. I always encourage people to share right away. Like just ask them to make the post. I know we've talked about that so that they can tag you. And I always tell them, you never know who might need this too and might want to do it with you. So let's just put it out there, share what you're doing so people can follow along. Another way you can ask is, one of the things we're passionate about is helping you get your products paid for so that your finances never get in the way of your health goals. Would you be open to me teaching you how to do that? I love the phrasing it like, are you open? Because most people want to be known as open-minded and not closed-minded. And so ask them, are you open to learning how to do that? And simply just asking, have you ever thought about sharing Plexus or making income from home? Very simple. And again, it helps to ask one question and wait for their response. Let's see. Okay, so here's some more examples. Have you ever considered that it could be different or that you could do this? So usually people are sharing, some pain points, and we have to say, have you imagined that it could look different? Because sometimes people haven't. They can't imagine themselves doing this. And so we have to help paint the picture for them. Another one, what would motivate you to do something like this? What would an extra $300 do for your family? And have them paint that picture. What would it actually do? What would it pay for? What could that provide every month? Is it, the kids camp? Like camps in the summer are so expensive. Could you put your kid in a camp for the summer? What about $1,000? What would that provide? What are some of your constant prayers or hopes for your family? And then I think a lot of people are so afraid when they first start out, right? They're like, well, I'm not successful at this. I haven't done this yet. Just say, it makes me nervous to mention this because I'm just starting out, but I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to earn cash if you want to. If you could earn cash by sharing your referral link, would you want to learn how? Would you want to do it with me? Right? And so just because you're not like 10 steps ahead of someone, it's okay just to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of someone and to do it together. It's absolutely fantastic to do that. And it's okay to tell them, hey, I'm nervous to ask this. Just acknowledge it. Okay, so what do you say, example of verbiage for a business reach out? Because we want to be doing these also, right? You'll have a list, and I think you made your list at the beginning, but who would you love to do this business with? Who comes to mind, right? And over time, these people will just keep coming to mind. And here's some examples that you could send them. So many I know are looking for ways to create more margins in their lives. I know we are. You're someone I think could be great at what I do, so I wanted to see if you would be open to having a conversation. It may or may not be for you, but I know it's been a huge blessing in both health and finances for our family, so I wanted to see if you could benefit from it too. What are your thoughts? Are you open to a conversation? And then another one that is just a little bit different. Hi there, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I'm looking for people who have a heart for leadership, a desire to help others have better health, and want to add another stream of income from home. I know that you have many of the qualities of someone that I admire and would love to work with. Do any of those things resonate with you? Would you be open to a conversation about doing what I do? And if you've been posting for a while, then they know what you do, right? But I think too, one of the things Genevieve always says is, do you like your ask? If you received the ask that you're sending and liked it, then you can be confident that that person probably will too. And if not, that's okay. They can say no, right? But if you like your ask, then go for it and send it. I think that the right people are going to see your heart behind it, and And if they're ready, they're going to join you. If they are open to those things, they are going to say, yes, I'm open to a conversation. Okay, let's see. Did I do? And this is just one example. If you've had a previous conversation with someone before, because I go back to people that I really want to work with multiple times. Okay. And I've done this a lot because I've been here 9 years. And sometimes people are like, yeah, I'm ready. Or there's the leaders retreat coming up that people will see that we're going for. And they're like, oh, I want to earn that. Like, let's do this. That's happened to me before. And so knowing that that's coming up, you could go back to someone and say, I know we talked about plexus before and it wasn't on your radar, but I'm curious if anything in your life has changed that might cause you to reevaluate. I know so many are currently looking for extra streams of income because the cost of everything has increased so much. I'm looking for people who want to provide more for their families, but also have a heart for leadership and a desire to help people better their health. It made me think of you. What are your thoughts about that? Are you open to have a conversation? So again, you've had this. It's like, has anything changed? Can be that simple. Okay, but you guys can have all the scripts, and I have to remind myself of this all the time because this is absolutely true. Um, we can have all the right words, but if we do not believe that it's going to work, if we don't believe that we can do it, if we don't believe that it's possible, then you're right. And we take that belief into our messages, we take it into our conversations, we take that right along with us. And there are seasons when all of us have lower belief. And so I would say make sure that you're feeding that good belief in your life, whether that's, talking with sidelines, watching inspirational videos, but just know that it comes back to belief, and it absolutely shows in how we post, how we have conversations with people. So you have to believe that what you're offering is worth it, and it is. And you just have to decide to do it and go for it, because again, we never feel fully ready. At least I don't. We're constantly have to putting those fears in the backseat of the car, not letting it drive the car. I just take them with me into action, and keeping your word to yourself. So it's like, you guys, many of you have been on every call this month. You said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be here for the mentorship. And you showed up. Like, you kept your word to yourself. And that is so, so important. And then don't limit others because of your preconceived ideas of what they can or want to do. Don't rule people out. I always remind myself of that. And we can work through anyone's objections, right? And just remind ourselves, objections are normal. Objections are normal, and we help people work through those. And then we prioritize what we value. And so that goes for what I do during the day. If I am not valuing my why, then I'm not going to show up and do my work. If someone doesn't value their health at the moment, they're not going to follow through and order. And so we have to remember that we show up for the things that we value. And I remind myself that as a leader all the time. Like, okay, am I being led by my values? And then I love this one. I know Cassie talked about this, the some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And so I have to constantly go back to someone will join me and some won't. But the so what is really crucial, because the so what is like, what am I going to make that mean about me, about them, about this business? Because what we make that mean is going to really affect our mindset, which then it reflects in our feelings, and then it affects our actions. So going back to, so what am I making that mean? Going back to getting into action and not making that mean something negative about me or what I'm doing, and then reminding ourselves that someone else is waiting. Someone is waiting for what we have to offer. Okay, so duplication tips. Share with confidence and infuse belief in them. Reminding ourselves it's not about us. It is about them. It's about helping other people reach their goals. Get on the phone. you guys, I know this is still really hard for some of us, myself included, but it can be so helpful to actually have a phone conversation. We can get through objections so much more quickly when we're signing people up. It takes away, complications that we might have. It helps us to go into that conversation of, hey, would you be willing to share? Are you open to that? So much easier when you're having a conversation. And find an ask that you like and use it. And that will look different depending on the person you're talking to as well. This is an art, not just a science. And then make it about them and their goals. Help your customers do their first post and reply to comments. And again, I think that everyone should host their own event. We have events as a team all the time that you can invite people to, but I really think when you host your own, especially as someone is starting, help your people host events. We just take more ownership of it when it's our own, when we have, like skin in the game. And so host your own events as well. And then plug into the community, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And show them the way. You only have to be a couple of steps ahead of them. This was one of the quotes that Crystal actually had shared last time that she loved when it comes to community. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. And one of the best parts of Plexus has been the community. It was something that I did not anticipate. I didn't think I needed, quite frankly. But often people come to Plexus because they really need the products or they really need the business. Excuse me. But they stay and I think for longer, or they get more plugged in because of the community. People stay because of this community and the integrity of it, how they feel cared for. It's one of the things that I love the most. I wanted to open it up. So if anyone wants to share like what the community aspect has meant to you or your teams, like how you've seen that played out by inviting your customers, even from the very beginning, into the community. And we'll talk about some ways to do that. But how have you seen that really benefit your customers and your business builders? Let's see, I can't see the chats, but just unmute yourself and share if you want to, because I'd love to hear from you guys.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I think for me, I still have a significant amount of people that started with me 7 years ago, and plugging them into a community where we can share exercise or encourage each other to exercise, to show up not only for ourselves, but to show up for someone else. Because, well, I know if I don't do my exercise, I know she's doing it. Therefore, I'm going to do it. And it's just so encouraging to see the ladies. We started out with none doing it with us, with me and a friend of mine. And now we have 4 people doing it with us, and 2 more are joining us next month. So that has been very encouraging, and I think it is beginning to build on itself. And I would say there are many times we wanted to quit. But yes, plugging them into a community that doesn't have to be thousands. I think sometimes people get overwhelmed with thousands, but just 20, 50, 100 makes a difference.
Yes, it absolutely makes a difference. I love that. I actually have a Marco Polo chat group going now for our workout buddies, and we're doing some of the same workouts. And one of them is a customer and one isn't, but it makes such a difference, that accountability. And so I always encourage people, even when you're first starting out, like you start your own chats with your customers. And we have that customer chat thread that is so fantastic for new customers. That's one of the things that I think is so important to invite people into. that I have on this slide, but it really, really makes a difference. And it's like you said, it's so good for them to see, oh, they can encourage someone else along the way as well. Like it's a group effort. It's not just us. It really is everyone. Anyone else have anything about community, what that's meant in the Plexus community?
Hi, Jody. This is Jessica Ferrari. Can I say something?
Hi, yes.
I I'm still very, very new to the business side of Plexus, and let me tell you, I just probably since December is when I really was uh, purposely looking at the business side of Plexus and um, the community that you guys put out there through the pages, the social media pages, have been great. And then when I got to meet several of you in person just this last weekend, and just by knowing my face from posts or chats and the embraces that I got, it felt like I knew you guys forever and like I belonged immediately. And that's huge to me. That's huge to me. And it makes me just want to continue to be a part and push forward, even though fear gets a hold of me and doubt gets a hold of me and um insecurities get a hold of me. Even though I love the products and I know that they have bettered my life, both mentally and physically, for whatever reason, all of those self-doubts and insecurities and fear still set in. But um, honestly, the love that you guys showed me this last weekend is makes me just want to continue pushing forward because it's such a beautiful community that you guys have set up with your team.
Thanks for sharing that. That, you guys, was such a highlight this weekend. And it wasn't even like an event that was happening. It was a group of us that happened to all be in Boise at the same time this weekend. And so we got to hang out and have a meal together. And it is it is my favorite part, honestly, is doing things like that. It's the in-person stuff. When I got to hug Jessica for the first time, and it's funny because I feel like I know you, and that was the first time we met in person. It really is one of the sweetest parts of what we do, and what our community has to offer. And I mean, they have named that loneliness is an epidemic. And so people need what our community has to offer. And so not being afraid to invite people into that and give them a glimpse of what we have to offer. And it's not just about supplements, right? Like, one of our teammates, one of my level ones, and many of you know her, like her son was in a tragic accident, and this community has come around and supported her and given and prayed and sent gifts, and they know they are not alone. And that has nothing to do with taking a supplement. That is just what we do when we love people in our community. And so many more people need that, way more even than the supplements. Sometimes they need the community. They need to know that they're not alone. And so it's one of the things I love so much. So don't be afraid to invite people in so they get a glimpse of that. And that can be, the beginning in those new customer chats or in the team pages, like Jessica was saying, if we're in the same city, inviting them to lunch, right? Inviting them to team calls. Every team does it a little bit differently. But it can feel weird. Sometimes you're like, hey, I know you're brand new, come to this team call. But it can be so influential. It might be the piece that they need, and you didn't realize that. Invite them to book club, right? We're doing a book club on our team right now, but Plexus always does a monthly book club with a really fantastic, like well-known author. And anyone can join in on those. It doesn't just have to be a business builder. There are so many ways that we can say, hey, join us for this, join us for that. Don't miss that piece of inviting people to the community and what we have. And like Jessica was saying, you know, we have to overcome so many of our own insecurities. This has been the best self-growth and development plan that I've ever done. And I was in full-time ministry for 16 years, and I grew there also, but this, oh man, this has pressed me in ways that I didn't know I needed to grow. And so I love that we get to help people grow really holistically, as a whole person. So the community aspect is so crucial. Don't forget to involve people in that. And one of the things, you guys, that we have to remember to do along the way is to celebrate our wins. Celebrate all the wins. Every time you do something that's uncomfortable, celebrate it. Every time you have a conversation, celebrate it. When you add a new VIP, celebrate it. So often we don't do this because we think, oh, well, I didn't hit this goal, or I didn't rank to this, or we tie our identity to our points. And that is so detrimental to us, and it will suck the joy out of this journey. And so you have to be sharing your victories with people, celebrating those. I think it was in one of the book clubs, someone who spoke, it's like every time something good happens, he's like, you have to go tell someone I'm on a winning streak. And so that's what we do still, like several years later. Especially Terry and I on my team, we are always saying, hey, I'm on a winning streak, even if it's like the smallest thing. The book club that we're doing right now, you guys, is The Gap and the Gain. And if you're not in that book club, that's okay. But I encourage you to read it at some point, because it talks about how we oftentimes will look at, like, what is our goal, our huge goal, right? So if your goal is gold, but you're silver, and you're like, oh, I added 2 customers this month, but I didn't hit that goal, you're always going to be like falling in that gap instead of seeing the gain of what did happen, how far you've come. Should be our measurement. Where did we start and where are we today? Measure that and celebrate those victories, because that's going to propel you into further success every single day. So focus on the gains, not just the gaps, which is very hard to do. And like I said, like some of us, maybe you're like, oh, I didn't hit this goal this month, but there's still time. This month is not over. Your rank doesn't define you. You have to go back to remember, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? We are offering hope, health, and happiness, and that is so worth it. And we are not responsible for the outcome, because we cannot make decisions for people, right? They're adults, they're going to make their own decisions, but I am responsible for the effort that I put in and showing up and doing the things that I said I was going to do. And often we reap the benefits 90 days or later, right? So the thing that I'm doing today may not pay off for 90 days. That is the rule always, no matter how long we do this. And we're always refining and learning new skills along the way, progress over perfection. And I am a recovering perfectionist, so I have to remind myself of this all the time. And so you have to remind yourself of that too. And here's what we want success to look like, or we think it should look like, right? There's just nothing but this uphill trajectory, and we don't ever have any backsliding. We don't ever have any pitfalls, but then we see what it really looks like. This over here on the right-hand side is what success looks like. And we don't have to think, well, I must be doing it wrong if it's not going well. And you just have to know, nope, this is how it works. But if I don't give up, and I keep moving, eventually I'm going to get there. Success is not linear. It's very cyclical. It can depend on what month we're in, where we're at in the year. It's messy. And so we have to continually keep reminding ourselves to not give up, learn to rest, and learn to, go back and have conversations with people when we're really discouraged, so that we can keep going when it is super messy. And we just have to know this is normal. Just like the Mandalorian says, this is the way. This is what the way looks like, okay? So just remind yourself, this is how it works. it's messy. And it can be wonderful, and it can be sucky, and it can still be fabulous, right? We have all of those feelings, just embrace them. And I often, you know, on a really bad day, when I'm in one of those really messy cycles, I can say, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes. I'm going to give myself an hour. Sometimes I have to give myself a day, and I'm going to feel really, I'm just going to wallow in it. But tomorrow is a brand new day, and we are moving forward. So it doesn't ignore that it's hard, but it reminds you that I can keep going. I can do this. Okay, so the snake in a tank. Maybe you've heard this story. If you were here last month, or in May, you heard this story. But I heard it from Emily Gibson, and she told the story of the snake in a tank. So this lady got a snake, which I would never do because I hate snakes. However, this lady likes snakes, and she got a snake and she put it in a tank, and it would not grow. It was not growing. So she took it to, eventually, like years later, she took it to the pet store and was like, what is wrong with my snake? It's 5 years old. And the guy at the pet store was like, there's no way the snake is 5 years old. It looks about 2. And he asked, how big is your tank? She told him how big the tank was, and he was like, oh my gosh, you need a tank like 5 times that size. So she got the bigger tank, and she took it home, and she put her snake in the bigger tank. And what do you know? The snake began to grow, and it got healthy. And so she was like, oftentimes we put ourselves in a small tank, and it stunts our growth. It like we just don't have vision that we could do something different, that life could be something so much more, right? Somewhere along the way, something happened and we stopped dreaming. I know that's what happened for me. I was sick for so many years. I just thought nothing will ever change. I had no vision that I would have a business when I started Plexus. That was never, ever in my playbook. That was not something I ever imagined happening to me. But what I saw because of the community, I was watching these women who expanded their tank, quite frankly, and they were doing all of these really incredible things, and they were finding success in ways that I never dreamed of, or they were going on trips that I never imagined that I would be on. And I began to see those are normal women. Those are normal dads. Like, if they can do that, why can't I? And so my tank expanded. And when my tank expanded, my whole life expanded. And so reminding ourselves, if we are stuck, maybe we need to expand our tank. Okay, we need to get a bigger tank. We need to expand our vision so that we can see a different future for ourselves. We limit ourselves so much. And so that's where like good coaching can come in. That's where having conversations with your sponsor, like what is limiting you? What are you allowing to hold you back from growing and really leaning into those things and getting rid of those things in our mind that are just blocks for us, so that we can break through and grow, because that is what we want for you guys. That's what I want for myself. That's what I want for my whole team. One of my biggest whys at this point is that I want everyone else to have success. I want everyone else to walk that stage. Like, I want big things for my team. And so that means I have to continually be expanding my vision and casting vision for them so that they can see it could be different. It could be more. And there's nothing wrong with more, right? And so really embracing like what God has put in our lap, which is a really, really amazing opportunity. And so sharing that with other people so that they can see that too. Okay, so we are on to our activity challenge. And because it's the last week, there aren't as many specific things, but we're going to go back. I want you to write down and celebrate all of your wins. How far have you come this month? That's like when we tell our customers and when they're like, I haven't lost any weight. Okay, well, what are the non-scale victories, right? Maybe you didn't hit that number that you were hoping for, but what are the other victories that you have seen along the way? Write it down and share that with someone because it needs to be celebrated. And then make your goals for next month and the action steps that you have that are going to get you there, and share that with your sponsor. And if you're not already in there, I'm sure you are all already in there, but be in the IPA place and your team page so that you can follow along. We have a lot of events and things set up for next month already. And that schedule, you'll see that on the calendar very soon. But you'll want to be in there. We have activities every week that you can participate in that will help you do those daily activities that will grow your business. We still have a whole day tomorrow. The month isn't over. So follow up with everyone you had a conversation with and help them with their next step. And then participate in the IPA challenges, like I said. And this one right here, think ahead of who you can interview about their health and business journey. And we're gonna have a live challenge towards the end of the month where we interview someone either on Facebook or Instagram. But just be thinking, who could I partner up with so that we can share our stories live? Because it's so fun to do. Miranda and I did one this month, and I always think, why do we not do this more often? It's so good for people to hear our stories. And then the bonus, join in on the next mentorship and bring someone with you. Okay, so that is what I have, but does anyone have anything else to add or questions or places you're stuck? Anything? I'm going to stop the share. We're all good. Okay. Next month we won't have like the live trainings, but we will be doing it again. And so be thinking who you can invite, but in the page, we're still going to have some things posted in there that will help keep you going. This month we didn't have people do live testimonies, but if you go back in the page and scroll down, there are a bunch of leaders who have shared tips with us. And so if you haven't watched those or you missed them in May, scroll down and watch the live videos because they were fantastic tips from leaders on the Rise team. So I wanted to encourage you all to do that because we realized, oh, we didn't have live testimonies or live tips from leaders, but there are some fabulous ones in the group. So go back and do that. Okay, we're ending early. If there's nothing else, thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for showing up on a summer night. I know that there's so many other things you could be doing, so be really proud of yourselves for being here and committing to your business. We will see you next time. Bye, guys.